thousands of dollars a year. Many save up to $500 a month, seriously. And you get to choose from a huge network of doctors and providers. And maybe the best part, and we know this from research on why people join Medishare, they love this. Instead of sending your money every month to a huge corporation that might fund all sorts of procedures or things you don't believe in, you're joining a faith-based network of people who actually care about each other. And like I said, that's refreshing. There is a better option. You don't have to do it the way you've always done it. You can make a change and start saving now. Here's the number. They're easy to talk to. Call 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
Rocket 102.5.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times today, with daytime highs approaching 42. Northwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies again tonight. Lows level off around 17. High temperatures reach up to 46 tomorrow. Bright sunshine and dry Thursday and Friday, mid-50s Thursday, upper 40s by Friday. A peek at the extended shows, 23 Saturday, 18 Sunday, and 16 on Monday. Another look at the short range. We should top off around 42 today. Lows level off around 17 tonight. A high of 46 tomorrow. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Right now, it's 19 degrees.
At the Home Depot, it's our business to support yours. Partner with your go-to source for building your business. We can help you streamline your operations by supplying the whole job from start to finish. Any questions? Our Pro Desk is ready to answer the call with supply sourcing, custom orders, large equipment rentals, and more. Elevate your efficiency and take on more projects with the partner you can trust. The Home Depot, how pros get more done.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to goodrx.com/GLP. That's goodrx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Economics, agronomics, dry land, irrigated, corn, wheat, sorghum, or something else. If you're in production ag, there's something for you at the 22nd Annual Cover Your Acres Conference, January 21st and 22nd at the Gateway in Oberlin. Fertilizer, weeds, profitability, forage crops, grain markets, manure, and more. You'll find research-backed information to get your 2025 season off to a good start. A full program offered each day. Register now at coveryouracres.com. Brought to you by K-State Research and Extension.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment, or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
Drive into the new year with incredible deals at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Right now, get a $3,000 total cash allowance on the 24 Chevy Suburban or take home a 25 Chevy Equinox with 2.9% APR financing, plus no payments for 90 days when you finance with GM Financial. Looking for a truck? Get 0% APR on the 24 GMC Sierra 1500 with a 5.3-liter engine for well-qualified buyers and score $3,250 when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland, or call 785-899-5011.
New year, new projects, and new deals at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Start 2025 with a bang by tackling those home improvements. Refresh your space with vibrant Benjamin Moore paint or stock up on storage totes and shelves, perfect for organizing. Lumber prices are down, making it easier to tackle your next big project. Keep warm while you grill year-round with their top-notch grills and smokers from Traeger and Weber. And don't let the snow slow you down. Check out the great selection of snowblowers from Ego and Toro. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby, your partner for a productive new year.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today and ask about the Kubota construction lineup. Take care of your Kubota construction needs at Colby Ag Center, 305 West Horton Avenue in Colby, Kansas.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
If you want to win in football, it all starts up front. Mass kicks ass.
The region's only local sports talk.
Listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5. Simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guy is everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
Showtime for the Lady Eagles.
To the pros.
McKinnon is in at running back. First down and goal to go. Play action fake. Right side throw. Touchdown! Kansas City!
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work. Kennard able to run it down, but a short shot clock. Morant from half court. Put it in! Oh, Morant! Long distance triple.
Darnold in the gun. Left tackle blocked after the snap. He gets another block up the middle. He throws it past Cart Hawkinson, 20. Broke a tackle, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown. Angling to the far pylon. A 26-yard catch and run by the Viking tight end. And he gets the shotgun snap, and he gets a block from Ham, and he sets up. He's hit. He fumbled the ball, and it's picked up on the play. It's Jared Verse at the 50, near sideline 40. Foot race to the 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown. Touchdown, Rams!
Well, that was about the perfect icing on the cake for a wild card weekend that just kind of stunk, to say the very least. Don't you think, Max? I mean, golly, that Monday Night Football game was like I predicted. I said that was not going to be a very interesting game, and it most definitely was not that interesting of a game. So I feel good about that prediction from earlier in the weekend. I don't know if Max has got issues or what. It's on my end, is what you're saying. Oh, great. Oh, geez. Always love this when this happens. Technical issues right out of the gate here. Not for sure. I don't know if somebody's muted or anything like that, but I don't think I've got issues. Maybe I'm wrong on this. I should be in the right spot, but unfortunately, it looks like as if, I don't know. I'm guessing people can hear Max on the stream. We'll see if Max pops up on the stream or not. If not, we'll figure it out. I might have to take a quick break, come back, and have Max get reset and see if we can get him figured out. But apparently Monday is going to be a Tuesday here today on the Morning Blitz. We've got stuff to get to today. Plenty of things to get to coming up here on today's program. We will be diving into plenty of NFL news, including some news out of the Dallas Cowboys. Coming up in our third segment, K-State basketball is on the docket for tonight. They will be looking to snap a 3-game losing streak as they host the Red Raiders of Texas Tech at Bramlage Coliseum. That's a late tip-off tonight. I believe it's 8 Central, 7 Mountain Time tip-off, which you can listen to on AM 790 KXXX. That'll be your home for K-State basketball tonight because the Eagles are on radio on 100.3 The Ride. And then the CBS Sports Network, which I got to admit, it's kind of been interesting watching all the Big 12 on CBS Sports Network for basketball, but that's what's been going on here early on. So you can watch K-State and Texas Tech tonight. So that's on the docket for this evening. And, of course, a great slate of high school basketball as well, including you have Goodland visiting Colby tonight for a GWAC matchup, and we'll have coverage on both 100.3 The Ride and Rocket 1025 for your particular favored school. So we'll get to all that coming up in today's program. We're going to talk a little local basketball with Val Reese. He's the head coach of the Weskin Coyote basketball team. He is going to stop by the program and visit with us coming up in segment 2. And so look forward to having Val on the program and discussing the great season that Weskin basketball is having, and not only Weskin basketball, to be completely honest with you, but just the year for varsity sports for the boys in Weskin. If you think about it, Weskin had won a state championship in football, obviously. We've talked about that multiple times on this program. Went undefeated in football, and now they are unbeaten in boys basketball. So they have yet to lose in a boys sport to this point in time in the academic school year. So pretty cool. We'll visit with Val Reese about their 8-0 Weskin Coyotes team coming up here at the bottom of the hour or so. But once again, appreciate you joining us here on the Morning Blitz. Hopefully we'll see if this...
Hello?
Hey, there's Max. See, it was on your end. Told you.
Yeah, well, so here's what happened. For whatever reason, the USB, it's been plugged. The USB port on my computer has been plugged into the whole time. Decides, actually, we want to find a new.
Honestly, you've had quite a bit of USB port problems.
I can tell you why. Because what happens is I plug it into. This has been in the same USB the whole time. I don't touch the computer. I come here today. It's working, and then for some reason, in the last 15 minutes, it's decided it wants to go to a different USB port. So now I have to change it, and now it works. But
hey. Well, it doesn't matter.
We're here now.
You know what? I'll give you a bunch of credit. You did some good tech problem solving right there. Credit to you. Good job.
Thank you.
You know what? That can be a real problem for some people. I love my mom and dad. Do you ever get calls from home from your folks to help fix anything technologically?
It's usually Grandpa Gersh.
Grandpa Gersh.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Papa Gersh not up this morning with us yet, but hopefully he'll be up with us in a little bit. We need the producer on with us this morning. Maybe that's why we're not off to a good start.
That is probably why.
Slept in.
That's probably why we need the producer to fix all this stuff.
Oh my. Anyway, before we had some technical issues last night, Monday Night Football, the last game of the wild card round, the 27-9 dismantling of the Vikings by the LA Rams. I said that was not going to be a good game, and it definitely was not. It was a horrific game, especially if you're a Vikings fan. And really, if you're just a fan of football, it's not much fun to watch. Not much fun to watch. If you were a Rams fan, you had a great time last night. If you're anything else, it was not fun. So I'm curious. I have some big thoughts on last night's game before we move on to some high school basketball. But I wanted to get kind of your thoughts on last night's game, because I think the biggest takeaway from last night's game had to do with the fact that it had nothing to do with the Rams. Yeah, the Rams are fine. They did good. They tied the NFL record for, I think, sacks in a playoff game with 9. They had 9 sacks last night. Otherwise, the numbers were not just out of this worldly. I mean, Stafford had 2 touchdowns and just over 200 yards passing. I mean, the defense was the real story. They had a 57-yard scoop and score. They had a couple other takeaways as well from that Vikings offense led by Sam Darnold. But to me, the biggest takeaway from that game last night, and I guarantee it's being talked about on all the big-time shows, but to that game, the biggest storyline coming out of this, what do you do if you're Minnesota? Because and Sam Darnold and all the credibility that he gained throughout the regular season, because if we go back to the beginning of the season and we would have sat here and talked about Sam Darnold, quarterback for the Vikings, and been like, I don't think the Vikings are going to have a good year. J.J. McCarthy got hurt. They're going to go to Sam Darnold. He has done nothing throughout his career to prove that he is worth a grain of salt at this point in time. Vikings have a bad year. And they go out there and the Vikings have a phenomenal season. Where he leads them to when it's all said and done, a 14-3 record. But remember, they kicked off the regular season, starting off the year going 5-0. They dropped 2 in a row to the Lions and the Rams, and then turn around and rattled off, what was that? 9 in a row? 9 wins in a row before losing to the Lions in the regular season finale. And all of that, during all that time, the credibility of Sam Darnold just grew and grew and grew and grew. And now, after what happened against the Lions, where they were beaten 31-9, and Sam Darnold threw for $166, no touchdowns, no picks, but really was bad there. And then in last night's game against the Rams in the playoffs, where he goes out and throws for 245, a touchdown, a pick. He was also had a fumble, of course. He was sacked. He was sacked 9 times.
And once again, I don't know how much blame you want to put on the offensive line. You can certainly put some on them. But Sam Darnold held onto the ball for a long time in the pocket last night and danced around a ton. And so I want your thought, because to me, the biggest storyline last night out of that game is, what in the world do you do if you're Sam Darnold and the Vikings?
Well, I think the most daunting stat that came out of last night, if you are looking for Sam Darnold to be a quarterback, is that Darnold on 71% of pressures was sacked. That is absurdly high. The average for a game is about 25, meaning 1 out of every 4 pressures you're getting sacked. He's getting sacked 3 out of every 4 pressures. That is an incredible number that it has to be close to a record, especially for a playoff game.
Now, who do you put the blame on there?
Both. I mean, he got pressured a lot, so you put some blame on the line. But the fact that he's sacked at that high of a rate, you've got to put some pressure, some blame on him. Added to an extent. Because look, I mean, he's holding on to the ball too long, but the Vikings are in a really, really, really tough spot. Because Sam Darnold played great in the regular season, but that's not the future. His last 2 weeks have shown that that's not the future. You can't score 9 points in those 2 games because those are 2 playoff type games. The thing is, I think they have no other choice than to stick with JJ McCarthy next year. I don't think that there's another option.
And that's fine, but you have no, and I mean absolutely no idea of what he'll be as a professional quarterback.
And that's why the pressure is at an all-time high for the Vikings organization, because you have these 2-star receivers and you have a fantastic, all these weapons for him, and you have a good defense. Who knows where Brian Flores will go? But you have all this pressure now on JJ McCarthy to live up to what Sam Darnold did, because you have these stars that want to win in the postseason and can win on a postseason on another team. So that's why JJ McCarthy needs to come in and have an immediate impact, which is a very tough spot for a quarterback coming off of an injury like he had to be in. Sam Darnold, on the other hand, I think you're going to see him on a team that's kind of in a bridge year with the quarterback spot, maybe a plan B for some teams. I think you will see him playing a lot of football next year. I don't think it'll be at the level you saw this year, and I don't think it will necessarily be on a team competing at a high level like the Vikings did this year. But I do think Sam Darnold proved enough that he can be a reliable quarterback, I'll say, in the NFL next year.
I sit here and I think about just that game last night and really the last 2 games for Minnesota where they put up 18 total points for the last 2 games.
Yeah.
18 total points. 9 in each against the Lions and the Rams. I know those are playoff teams and teams that are moving on in the play, that are in the next round of the playoffs. I get that. But man, if you're wanting to be the Vikings and move and try to get to a point where you're, winning in the postseason. Kevin O'Connell, head coach for the Vikings, I believe has never won a postseason game.
0-2.
And so it's not been good for him either. And be honest, you could probably put a little bit of the blame on him for Sam Darnold and, not having more play designs of just, we got to get the ball out quicker. Look, I don't know where the blame is. I don't watch Vikings football enough to know everything about them. But either you nearly need to go back and retool your offensive line, but I just don't think it's all that, because you had success through the regular season. So I really am starting to think that Sam Darnold had a really nice 2024-25 season, and it started crumbling at the very, very end. And like you said, they're in a pickle. They're in a big time pickle because they have 2 quarterbacks that they just don't know what they're going to get. And you know what? They better hope that Sam Darnold, for example, will take a sweet deal on the Viking side, where it's another 1 or 2 year deal and it's $20 million, $10 million a year or something like that. I don't know.
But they've been in a pickle, Ross. They can't win in the playoffs, but they keep getting to the playoffs and they keep having good records. I mean, look, 2 years ago, they lost to the Giants in the playoffs. They got upset by the New York Giants, and think about where the Giants are now. But it's kind of a little bit in a way. I know they have better records, at least this year, than the Steelers did, but they're kind of in that same predicament where, okay, you're good enough to make the playoffs. You're good enough to compete in your division, but you're not good enough to win a playoff game. So you kind of got to start looking internally, if you're the Vikings, of how do we change the culture to get to the next level that they need to get to make it far in the playoffs, because it's clearly not there right now.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know. Very, very interesting times in Minnesota on what you're going to do. And there were conversations about this prior to the game. But I think they've just gotten even worse after last night's performance, because you're just looking like, boy, if this is what we're going to get next year out of Sam Darnold, and once again, no offense to Sam. I mean, I had Sam Darnold being, even though he's not, I think, eligible for it, being the comeback player of the year. I don't think you can't give it to guys unless they're hurt. I think that's what the comeback player of the year is meant for. Although I think
or unless they weren't playing most of the year last year.
Well, he should definitely win comeback player. He should have won comeback player of the year, but I tell you, he's lost a lot of credibility in my mind over the last couple of weeks.
This was a good tweet from Zach Halverson, I guess, is a Minnesota fan or reporter. I'm not sure, but it said, we need to start ignoring the playoffs and just throw parades when Minnesota men's sports teams have great regular seasons, because this is every Minnesota sports team seems to do the same thing every year. But as far as the Rams, look, I had them going into this game winning, and I had them as kind of a sleeper Super Bowl pick. I think if their defense plays that well and their offensive line gives Matthew Stafford time, with Kyron Williams running, like with everything, that is how the Rams can win football games, is how they played against the Vikings. Their defense played incredible, and they also had the run game going. But Matthew Stafford, when he has time with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, they can score as many points as any other team can in the NFL. And just impressive last night. And I think that they also have that chip on their shoulder with everything going on in LA. And it's just they're a scary team. I wouldn't want to face them. And I think the Eagles need to play a lot better than they did against Green Bay this weekend if they want to beat the Rams.
Well, they certainly. I feel like that defense is just a no-name defense. Like I know Jared Verse was at Florida State last year, but I don't know if I could
very good.
I don't know if I could name many other players on that Rams defense. Like I was watching the game last time, like, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that guy is. That is a no-name defense.
And that's another coaching candidate might have just appeared in last night's game as their defensive coordinator, who now I'm blanking on his name, but he's been there for a while.
Maybe that is one. I don't know. We'll see. They got a tough task. They got to go to Philly. They got to go across the country. They got to play at Philly. It's a very tough place to play. And
outside too.
Once again, the Philadelphia Eagles are a very talented football team. They have a lot of talent if they can put it all together. Very, very talented. But anyway, last night, Rams dismantled the Vikings 27-9. To me, the biggest storyline coming out of that game is Sam Darnold, and what in the world do you do in that situation if you're Minnesota? You are in a pickle again going into the 25-26 season here in a few months. All right, we will get to some high school basketball with Val Race coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk a little bit more NFL football in the final segment as well. But we've got high school hoops on for tonight. A good slate of games coming your way, which include Golden Plains hosting Victoria, Wallace County hosting Greeley County. Decatur Community takes on Northern Valley. Oakley faces off against Norton tonight in the Mid-Connolly game. Rollins County is going to play host to Tri-Plains Brewster. Shiloh on the road down at Leota taking on Wichita County. Quinter going to play host to Ingalls tonight on the hardwood. And, of course, in Colby at the Event Center is where the Colby Eagles will host the Goodland Cowboys for another edition of the Colby-Goodland rivalry. And it is the second meeting between these two teams this season. They met at the Topside Tip-Off Tournament Championship game back on December 14th. The Lady Eagles definitely getting the best of the Cowgirls, but the Cowboys, a big second half led to a big win over Colby in that boys title game. And so a split, if you want to call it that, the last time these two teams met back on December 14th in the Topside Tip-Off Tournament Championship, and now here in the regular season. So what are you looking for tonight out of the Colby Eagles, Max? And they're coming off, so especially the boys, a very exciting win. I went back and looked. I think it was the first time they had beaten Hugoton since 2020, and I think the first time they'd won in Hugoton since 2018. It had been a while. Not as long as the Cowboys had went without beating Hugoton, but Colby had gone a while without beating the Eagles, and they get it done in the last second. So the boys go out and come into this game riding high, and I'm sure the ladies are as well.
Yeah, the momentum is definitely there for both of these teams. I think especially the guys, because they've won 3 straight now. They're playing their best basketball, and in the Topside Tip-Off Tournament, the first time that these two teams played, it was really the offense was not where it is now. Really, there was 2 scores, Guy Tubbs, Jordan Jones. Now you have Foss getting action. I mean, Foss has led the team in scoring the last 2 games, 18 and 19. So you add those points that he's scoring, and you add Grant Stevens, who's found his shot again because he really struggled in that championship game as well. I think we're going to see a lot closer of a contest tonight. But I'm looking for energy early, which is what we saw in Hugoton. And I'm sure they will, because they have momentum, and this is a rivalry game, so there's always going to be some energy.
One thought, why is Braden Foss all of a sudden become a double-digit point scorer?
he's been more aggressive. I think in the first few weeks, or I guess what would that have been, 4-5-ish games, he was kind of just sitting. He wasn't driving, he wasn't taking the mid-range, he was just shooting threes, and they weren't really falling. So he's adjusted well, and I think he even realized that they need this third scorer, and that needs to be him. And so you've seen him be more aggressive with his shot taking. He's starting to hit a couple threes a game, as well as just taking it into his own to score the basketball. And at the beginning of the year, it was really he just wasn't as confident as a shooter. So I think once he saw a couple shots fall down, his confidence is starting to build up, and it's shown heavily in the last 2 games.
No, they're playing with a lot of confidence, which is good. They need shots to fall. Does Colby, like every other team, but they need shots to fall because they just don't have a lot of guys beneath their 5 or 6. I mean, they need.
Well, they don't have any.
Yeah, they do. There are players on the bench.
Well, I know.
So I mean, it's not like as if they only have 5. They're not the Hickory Huskers from Hoosiers out there. I mean, it's not like they only got 5 or 6 guys with Ollie on the bench. I mean, they've got other guys. They don't play them.
They just don't play him, and that's something I actually talked to. And by the way, for anyone listening that wanted to hear those interviews with the girls and the guys, shortly here, probably before noon today, I'm going to get that up on YouTube, and you can see it on Facebook as well. But one of the things, Case and I've asked them about the 6-man rotation is, they said it's different, but it's takes some time to adjust, and they felt that their legs were kind of just dead in that topside tip-off tournament championship game. They weren't as, they were a little gassed in that game. So I think now that they're a little more games under their belt, a little more time to rest before this game, you're going to see a more energized group. And, I'm not saying that was the reason why they lost, and that's not what they were saying either, but, they definitely felt it. And I think this is going to be a completely different ballgame than what you saw on that weekend game.
They're playing on their home floor, which is always an advantage. You've got your student body behind you, those buckets, those rims. So there should be something there. And these games are usually very close between these two teams. So the big thing for Goodland is that Lincoln Cure should be back tonight and playing after missing last week. And that was the biggest reason one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest, why Goodland lost the game to Holcomb. And you lost to Holcomb by 4, but you didn't have one of your top players on the floor. So, the Cowboys corrected that against Ulysses. Other guys got involved, which was huge. That they got some of the other starting role players, your Zach Thorsons, your Case and Cedarstroms, so got a little bit more involved. Jackson Miller. Cowboys did a great job with that. One thing that'll be big is what the Cowboys have hung their hat on this year, and that's been rebounding. They're going to have to go out there and rebound that basketball and prevent guys like Guy Tubbs, who is phenomenal. I think he's one of the best small bigs in not only in Western Kansas, maybe in the state. He's so good knowing where the ball is, finding it, going up and putting it back in. And so they've got to really prove that they can box out and do that when shots go up and Colby misses them. While also defending the 3-point line, not letting guys like Grant Stevens or Jordan Jones get really hot from the outside, because that's how they stay in the game. And if you're Goodland, on the offensive end, you just got to hope you got to continue to move that basketball around. And move without the basketball. I think that's also a big thing. We talk about moving the ball, which is great, but if you're standing in the same spot all the time, it doesn't work good. You've got to be able to move without the basketball, and the Cowboys certainly did a better job of that against Ulysses than they did against Holcomb in the week before. So moving without the ball, moving the basketball, making them work. I mean, and you're going to want to work. Cowboys got way more depth. You're going to want Colby to have to work, because you can tear into that 6-man rotation pretty quick with foul trouble and exhaustion.
And then I have two more points about this before we talk about the girls' game. Is that the first main thing that in order to Colby to win, in my opinion, Guy Tubbs obviously has to be on the court for 99% of the game. He's got to be on, because when he's not on the court, if he's in foul trouble, Lincoln Cure is going to take advantage of whoever he is going up against if it's not Guy Tubbs. So Guy Tubbs needs to be on the floor as much as possible, meaning he cannot foul early. The second thing is whoever is guarding Brady Brumbaugh. I think that Brady Brumbaugh pretty much beat Colby last time in the championship game. It was him and Lincoln Cure, but I think changing different faces to put in front of him, maybe putting Kirsten Brock on him for a bit. Case and Carroll's played some strong defense, as well as Foss a time or two. I think is something Coach Stevens is definitely going to look to do, because that's what he did against Jay Acosta against in Hugoton just last week. So I think changing up some different personnel to guard him is going to be a big thing as well.
FNB Bank text line chiming in. One unnamed texter says, Colby boys have a great six-man in Max Kirstenbrock. Come a long ways recently.
They do, and he has.
I'd say
he absolutely has.
Colby's got great. They've got 6 guys, and they're all very solid. I am not going to sit here and say anything about it. To me, I would think 6 guys, you're a man or 2 short. You need to have that 7th, 8th guy to help with the depth. Because if someone gets in foul trouble, you're in trouble. If someone struggles and you're in a fast-paced up and down game, someone's going to get gassed. You're in trouble. And so you just need a little bit more depth on that Colby team, which Goodland this year has at this point in time. And so I don't know, it should be a fascinating game. Once again, playing on the home floor of Colby will make a difference well. So I look forward to tonight's game. The boys' game should be very intriguing. And the girls' game, Colby got the best of Goodland, beat them like 44-26 in the first meeting in that topside tip-off tournament championship game. That felt like it was like a weight was lifted off of Colby. At that point. So just looking at the reaction after the win, like, we finally did it. We finally beat them for the first time, I think, in like 9 tries and finally ended it. And for that senior class, which has been so good for Colby to get that win against Goodland was so big for them. And I'm fascinated to see how these meetings go throughout the year, because I believe both coaches will make adjustments. Both teams will make adjustments. And I feel like we're going to see closer basketball games as the season progresses on between these two. I know Goodland's got to make sure that they lock down defensively and rebound. That's going to be so big. Their whole season depends on it. They have to play great defense and really rebound the misses that Colby puts up there while defending the 3. Because if you let girls like Allie Flanagan or Logan Nolan really get going from deep, you really have trouble. So you got to defend that 3 ball well, and you need to be able to limit the second chance points, because Goodland is just not going to go up there and score a ton of points. It's not their thing. They're not an offensive juggernaut. And so they need to make sure that when they go out there that they play as great a defense as they can. And then hopefully, you catch a night or 2 against Colby where you're able to knock down some shots. But most nights offensively, it's not saying it's going to be super, super hard, but it's not going to be as easy as it's been in the past for Goodland to put up points against a very experienced Colby team. But I'm just fascinated to see, from the Goodland perspective, this is on the girls' side, the growth. What did we learn from the game 1 loss against Colby, where we got it handed to us on our home floor? What did we learn? How can we apply that to this second game to make this a more competitive contest? That, to me, is what I'm most fascinated in seeing tonight, Max. I want to see, what did we learn? How can we close the gap on what was almost a 20-point loss? How can we close the gap in that game?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a closer game, and then what we saw in the championship game for sure. And I think the big thing for the Eagles is they did play well against Hugoton, and it was a good bounce back game after Hoxie. But I think what they need to go back to is being more aggressive inside and getting to the foul line more. They were getting to the foul line at an unprecedented rate in the topside tip off tournament, and they've kind of gone away from that. And the 3 points fall occasionally. But I think if Elizabeth Barton can get to the foul line as much as she did at the first 5 games of the year, that it's a very, very hard team to beat. But I do think also that the Brent Stanley's been playing some fantastic basketball offensively, which she's really picked up from the beginning of the year too. So that addition has really helped Colby. But I do think this is going to be a lot closer of a game, especially because these two have already played this year in Colby with a blowout in the championship.
Like I said, I'm just more intrigued to see what the coaches have up their sleeve for a second meeting. What in particular from the Goodland side, what is the reaction from Bill? Not the reaction, but what is the response from Bill Bierman with whether it comes on how we're going to do this, how we're going to attack this. We've seen this. Let's do this. These teams know each other so well. The thing is how do you go about getting it done tonight? So should be a fascinating couple of games. Once again, you can catch Colby's broadcast with Max on 100.3 The Ride, and we'll have coverage of Goodland Cowboy and Cowgirl basketball right here on Rocket 102.5. All right, let's get to a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk a little Weskin basketball next with Val Reese, head coach of the Weskin Coyotes. That is next. You're listening to a Tuesday edition of the Morning Blitz.
At FNB Bank, we know family comes first. Whether you're opening a savings account for your kids, buying a new home, or planning for the future, we're here to help every step of the way. With personalized service and flexible options, we make banking easy for your growing family. FNB Bank, serving families, strengthening communities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Kate Thompson with the Anderson Trade Group. Today is Tuesday, January 14th. And on the overnight March, corn lower 1 3/4 at 4.74 3/4. May down 1 3/4 at 4.85. July down 1 3/4 at 4.88 1/4. September corn down a cent at 4.55 3/4. March soybeans down 3 on the overnight at 10.50. May down 4.5 at 10.62. July down 5 1/4 at 10.72 3/4. August beans down 6 1/4 at 10.66 1/2. Chicago wheat, the March contract higher 1 1/4 at 5.46 1/4. May up 1.5 at 5.58 1/4. July up 1 3/4 at 5.69 1/4. September up 1 1/4 at 5.82 1/4. Kansas City wheat, the March contract higher 1 1/4 at 5.62 1/4. May up 1 1/4 at 5.71 3/4. July up 2 at 5.81 1/2. September up 1.5 at 5.93 1/4. On the stock market this morning, the Dow up $140 at 42,663. The S&P up 26 at 5,901. The Nasdaq up 123 at 21,070. Gold lower $2.50 at 2,675. And crude oil down 39 cents a barrel at 78.43. If you have any questions about marketing grain and would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call. John Hanke or John Stiles at 970-744-4484. Or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Pluto, Jared Law, or Tyler Dosh at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
Imagine having more days of perfect weather. A combine that's more powerful.
Auction internet bidding. Animals are sold before they ever leave your place. And with livestockmarket.com, there's no middleman. Buyers connect directly with livestock and hay producers. There's no easier way to find buyers for cattle, sheep, goats, pigs, and hay. Sell on your terms today with livestockmarket.com.
If you've been busier than Joe Biden's ink pen since the election, then it's time for you to take a break and plan to attend the 43rd annual Kansas Pioneer Chapter's Pheasants Forever Banquet, Saturday, January 25th at the City Limits Convention Center in Colby, Kansas. Live and silent auction items, prize drawings and games, and a great banquet meal with doors opening at 5 p.m., dinner at 6, and activities to follow. That's Saturday night, January 25th at the City Limits Convention Center right here in Colby, Kansas.
It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid? Why?
Your daily dose of sports.
Before we get to Val Reese here joining us in just a moment to talk some Wescan basketball, one more thought from the FNB Bank text line during the break from a texter. Said lack of depth, talking Colby Goodland boys basketball matchup. Lack of depth killed Colby boys versus Goodland. The last time out, Tubbs fouled out. They had absolutely no one who could guard Kieran, which was true when Lincoln went off for 20-plus points. I think 26, in that. But we'll see. I'm interested to see how Lincoln plays. He hasn't done basketball for a couple weeks, so probably a little bit of rust. But we'll see how he does tonight in that matchup. Let's continue to talk some high school basketball as we welcome into the program first-time guest here on the Morning Blitz, at least in my recollection, Val Reese, head coach of the Wescan unbeaten Coyotes. Good morning, Val. Thank you for joining us here on this Tuesday.
Good morning, Ross. Thank you for having me.
I'd say, you kind of have a interesting perspective, because I know you watched the football season this year in Wescan, and now you're coaching basketball. Can you kind of give us how special this year has been for Wescan boys athletics to go unbeaten, win a state championship in football, and to be unbeaten at this point in time through the first 8 games of the basketball season?
Well, it has been very special because, like for football, this was our first season back in Acacia, after we had to leave for a couple of years because our numbers were low enough that we were on the edge of not fielding our own teams. We had a couple small classes, and our school board made a very hard decision because at the end of the day, what our students wanted more than anything was they just want to play for Wescan, period. State tournament eligible, no state tournament eligible. They just enjoy representing our little community. And so it is special.
Val, I was curious, you've been around that area for a long, long time. What makes it such a unique community there in Wescan?
Well, I think just several years ago, we had a community development project, and they had an expert come in, and what he called Wescan was a group of houses built around a school. And I think as a general rule, that's the way most of the people that live here feel, is that this school is one of the most important things in their lives, and they'll do whatever it takes to make sure it's strong and active and a good place for our kids to grow up.
Absolutely. I know visiting with you prior to the basketball season, you felt pretty good about this basketball team and what they could be. How has those expectations been met to this point in time in the season?
Well, we've had a lot of talent. We were returning a ton of players from last year, and we have what I consider, and currently Trey Allen is leading the entire state according to Max Preps in scoring, not just 1A, but the entire state. And, we returned a lot of other good players like Judah Crow with a lot of experience. Our other three starters, Nick Cottrell, Carson Wright, and Daughtry Allen, all had some starting experience. So, and they're very physically talented as well as great work ethic. And, so we returned a lot, and we'd been working on offense for about a year and a half to get good at it. We'd gotten good, and we started working on defense. And, man, they really turned up their defense this year. And I think we're defending at a very high level.
Yeah, I was looking through the stats for Trey Allen for people. 31 points per game, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals, according to Max Preps, which is just incredible. Tell me a little bit more about what that impact does to a team.
Well, it's a real problem for another team because they have to figure out, are they going to commit extra to stopping him? And when they do, Trey is the most unselfish 30-point-a-game scorer in the country. I think his 3-point shooting average right now is 46%. So he's not like a volume scorer. He's very effective. And so if you commit extra to slowing him down, he's a plenty willing passer too. And we get other talented players nice, easy shots because you've committed 3 people to trying to stop Trey. So right now, so far, we have presented a real puzzle is what do? Do you depend extra to Trey, or do you try to just stop everybody equally? And because of his unselfishness, that's been tremendous. But, this week we're stepping up in weight class, I guess you'd say. Tonight we play Syracuse, a very talented 2A team. And then Friday we play one of the other 2 undefeated teams in the state in 1A, D2 at Logan Palco. So we have 2 very tough games this week. So we'll kind of get tested.
Val Reese is our guest. He's the head coach of the unbeaten Wescan Coyote basketball team, joining us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline. How excited are not only you, but the kids for a chance to test and see how good their team is with these 2 games coming up here this week, starting tonight?
Well, I don't know how to explain it, but yesterday at practice, I thought the boys had a real, I call it quiet confidence in themselves. And, I think that run they went on football is they became believers that they can do whatever they need to win a game, whether it be football or basketball. And, there's probably going to come a point at some point that Wescan loses, but it's been a long time. And we remember how to win a lot. We've kind of forgot how to lose. I just assume we keep that ability to lose forgotten in our mind, because right now we know how to win, and that's a huge thing when boys really figure that out and develop the confidence that they are going to win while having the work ethic to know that they have to prepare and practice to do so.
Coach, for some people that haven't gotten a chance to watch Weskin basketball this year, how would you describe the style of play?
We go fast. We go fast, and we play a lot of full court defense. I wish we could play a shot clock, because I don't think it would ever have gotten to 5 all year except when we were going for a last shot. We go fast, and we want to really put a lot of stress on the other team, in that they have to be prepared that after every time they shoot, we're going to try to get the ball down and get a shot up in 8 seconds at times. And, and how we're going to do that. And they've got to defend the 3-point line, because not only with Trey, we have 2 other shooters that are shooting above 36% from the 3-point line. So, you've got to guard outside. You've got to guard. We just try to really make it hard to prepare to play for us, both offensively and defensively.
Once again, we're visiting with Val Reese. He's the head coach of the unbeaten Weskin Coyote boys basketball team. He joins us via the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Ace Hardline. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Ace Hardline. So anyway, I'm losing my mind there. But talking Weskin basketball again, and how great this season. You've talked about how football and the success there kind of led into the success of basketball. Like you said, the kids don't remember how to exactly lose, which is such cool. But I was curious. You've been doing this a long time. How much does success on the gridiron or the sport prior to basketball help lead to success on the basketball court, do you feel like, as a coach that's been doing this a while?
Well, I think it has something to do with it, because, at the end of the day, you can talk all you want about coaching, but when a team's behind one with 20 seconds left to go, a kid's either going to make a shot or he's not. And if he can dwell on, if it's in his mind that they've succeeded before and made that play, in their mind that, in that state playoff football game, we were down 5 points, getting the ball back with 2.5 minutes, and we proceeded to score and then stop Cunningham with a minute to go to win the state football. There's just a belief in their mind that we've done it before. Every time you do something like that at an end of the game, regardless, football, basketball, whatever, it just becomes a little bit easier to do it the next time.
Val, I know unbeaten and winning games handily, I don't even know what the score. I would say you guys are averaging over 65 points per game, but you're only allowing, on average, below 40. So you're winning games by 20 points. What have you been more impressed with, your offensive production or your defensive intensity and output there?
Well, the defense has really been a huge improvement. We offensively, I knew we could score, and we have a lot of abilities, but the defense, the commitment to defense, and just the way we're defending right now, as you know, I kind of had some experience in bigger basketball for a while, and that's kind of the difference between 1A Division II and 3A basketball is the level of defending, and that's we've kind of become more like a bigger school on defense. We get after it some, especially at our level. We get after it, and that helps because we do have some very physically talented athletes. And at the end of the day, you don't do what all they've done in football and basketball without being very physically talented. So that's the biggest key is we have very physically talented athletes. But that they've really responded to the defensive, and they're enjoying when they can really. I know there was one game we have a little stat where we need to have 3 stops in a row, and we had 15 out of 16 possessions. We didn't allow the team to score in one game, and they took a lot of pride in that and enjoyed that. And it used to be we took a lot of pride in getting 34 or 38 points in a quarter. And now we're taking more pride in that 15 stops and 16 possessions. And that's really cool to see as a coach.
Coach, we've talked about, I mean, these guys have won a lot in both football and basketball. Do you make it a priority to keep them, kind of grounded so they continue to improve, or how do you go about that?
Well, we remind them. In fact, it's very hard because, man, I can't imagine if I was 16-year-old and them guys, how big my head would be. I'd have to have been receiving daily lectures from my father reminding me that I wasn't near as good as I thought I have. And, we've thought I was. And in truth, we've discussed the idea of humility with our boys one time is all we've had to. They've done a real nice job of understanding, that. And they look upon, I'm tremendously lucky right now because my grandsons get to watch these boys. And they're watching some tremendous boys, not just athletes, but in their actions and how they handle themselves. And, and that's what you hope in a school, that you develop a culture that the high schoolers act in such a way that the third graders, the eighth graders, the kindergartners want to act like that when they're older. And that's, while we have tremendous ability to run and jump and shoot baskets, we also act very well and conduct ourselves in a way that I think our whole town can be proud of. And I guess I'm prouder of that than our 8 wins, honestly.
No, absolutely. Final one for me, Val. As a coach, you're always looking for ways to improve. What is the ways you're trying to improve and continue to get this team better here this week and in the coming weeks?
Well, I guess what we're looking at more is, we don't honestly play. This will be a great week to see. Sometimes our man-to-man offense, we don't necessarily run a few of our set plays and stuff as well as we could because, honestly, we don't see much man-to-man in our normal schedule because, most teams play a zone. But, in our final games, when we end up playing teams that kind of have our physical ability, we're going to see a lot more man. And, that's something we're working on preparing for, is being able to maybe run our set plays a little better, get baskets out of a set play and run it well. There are times we run a set play, we don't necessarily run it well, but just get out of Trey's way and he goes and scores for us or whatever. So that's kind of nice. But, at some point we're going to find people with and it's going to be this week, honestly, where we're going to play teams with the same physical gifts that we have. And then to win those games, it's going to be offensive execution that helps us win or not. And so that's something we're needing to improve as we go forward.
He is Val Reese, head coach of the Weskin Coyotes. Val, thank you so much for taking the time with us. Best of luck on this challenging week ahead, and we'll hope to catch up as the season continues on. Thanks for the time.
Thanks for letting me. Appreciate it.
Once again, great stuff there from Val Reese, head coach of the Weskin Coyotes. Unbeaten in boys athletics. No losses in football and an 8-0 start in basketball. But like you said, a very good week ahead with road games at Syracuse and at Logan Palco coming up tonight and then on Friday, which will be a good measuring stick for this great team in the program. 31-12 for Trey Allen. My goodness. That is putting it up.
And 5-4.
Yeah.
That's a ridiculous number.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. All right, let's get to our final break. We'll come back, wrap the show with some thoughts on the next Cowboys head football coach. Also a little bit of NFL news from the Broncos and the walk-off next in the Blitz.
Drive into the new year with incredible deals at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Right now, get a $3,000 total cash allowance on the 24 Chevy Suburban or take home a 25 Chevy Equinox with 2.9% APR financing plus no payments for 90 days when you finance with GM Financial. Looking for a truck? Get 0% APR on the 24 GMC Sierra 1500 with a 5.3-liter engine for well-qualified buyers and score $3,250 when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com.
New year, new projects, and new deals at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Start 2025 with a bang by tackling those home improvements. Refresh your space with vibrant Benjamin Moore paint or stock up on storage totes and shelves, perfect for organizing. Lumber prices are down, making it easier to tackle your next big project. Keep warm while you grill year-round with their top-notch grills and smokers from Traeger and Weber. And don't let the snow slow you down. Check out their great selection of snowblowers from Ego and Toro. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby, your partner for a productive new year.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
You're tuned in to the Morning Blitz
I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
with Ross Volkmer.
Wrapping up a show here with our final segment on the Morning Blitz. Thanks again to those of you who have tuned in, whether it's on the radio or, of course, through YouTube, Facebook, X. Papa Gershon made it up this morning, Max. He just slept in. So
that's what you get to do when you're retired.
Yeah, that's right. What did he use? What was his job prior to retirement? I know he's a lot to do with baseball, but I mean, was that?
Well, he had a factory. He would have to explain. I'm gonna butcher it. I don't even want to try.
He had a factory. Okay,
they did for a bit.
Was it a pitching factory?
Well, he played. He played college baseball at William Jewell. He won a national championship with them. He was pitcher. Then he transferred. He had a spring training contract with the A's. And then he went into a professional career, and I'm gonna let him explain it there.
I tell you, I think we got to get Papa Gershon on the show here sometime, probably during the summertime when things slow down.
Sure.
We'll just have him on
for sure. He would love to.
I'm sure he would.
We can make that happen. We can.
I have no doubt we could make that happen. Anyway, news in the NFL late last night as the Dallas. Well, news yesterday actually came out late morning that the Dallas Cowboys are not going to re-up and bring back Mike McCarthy. Which that whole deal there, I'm not going to lie, is a little fishy from the very sounds of it. But then, of course, late last night, apparently Jerry Jones put in a call to Prime, Deion Sanders over at Colorado to see if he wanted the job. What are your thoughts on this whole situation with the Dallas Cowboys? Because first and foremost, the interesting thing, it's almost like as if Jerry Jones premeditatedly planned the way to get rid of Mike McCarthy. Like, oh, we're going to talk about it. We'll get it done. His contract expired. They never really got down to sit down and talk about it, and it was over. So it's almost like if we don't really want him after all. It's like they really didn't want him and they just moved on.
I mean, I don't blame them, I guess, necessarily. I think Mike McCarthy is a better coach than people think he is, but I don't blame them for the change. But I don't know. I wouldn't want to work for Jerry Jones if I'm being honest. Like, they've got a good team, but it's Jerry Jones and he's going to run the team no matter who he brings in. So I don't know. Deion to the Cowboys. I don't see that. I don't know. That'd be insane.
He did not say no. I mean, he did give a statement saying about possibly coming to Dallas. He said it was to hear from Jerry is truly delightful and it's intriguing. I love Jerry, believe in Jerry. After you hang up and process and think about it, it's intriguing. But I love Boulder, everything there is about our team here at Colorado, the coaches and the student body and the community. So he's saying the right things, but he also didn't say, no, I'm not going to.
And the Raiders and him had some mutual interest as well.
I don't think the Raiders did have interest in him.
Really?
The Raiders had interest in him. Or sorry, he had interest in the Raiders. The Raiders did not.
Interesting. Okay.
I think, well, you know why that is. Because the Raiders have got a top 5 pick, and they've got Shedeur, and he could coach his son again. So, they could continue this.
Very weird. It's all very weird.
I mean, think about it. He will have coached his son pretty much since junior high through professional football, if that were to happen, which I don't think it is. The Raiders apparently do not have interest, but the Cowboys apparently do.
That would be,
I don't know. Didn't you see Deion saying, you know what? I'll take this job, but you got to trade up so we can get Shedeur.
That would be a disaster. It would be a disaster, and I would love it.
On Dak would be horrible. I know that is a storyline to watch, though. I don't think that is over. I don't think that conversation.
We'll see.
In my personal opinion,
we'll see.
All right, on to the walk-off.
And back lifts his ball high, deep to right. How about a walk-off Brady? Thomas to the 10. Difference going on in New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
News came out around yesterday about Bo Nix. Says he played the final part of the season with process fractures in his back. Pretty much since Thanksgiving, he's been doing that. Listener Michael texted in the word dog because of him playing through that, because he still threw for over 3,700 yards and 29 touchdowns, a rookie record. So Bo Nix showing some toughness. I think Denver's got their quarterback. I feel pretty good about it. He's only going to get better as the season progresses on. Sorry, the years progress on, I should say. There's also some wrestling tonight in the side of the Max Jones Field. You got Fort Hays Tech Northwest at home hosting Colby Community College for a duel of wrestling. And of course, we got plenty of high school basketball on tap tonight. What do you got for thoughts in the world?
This was just really quick, just popped up on my phone. He played for the Royals, but Bubba Thompson was a former first-round MLB draft pick, is now going to walk on South Alabama football team. This is the second MLB player to go back and play college football after Bubba played in the MLB for a bit, speedster. So that's just interesting.
Marvin Harrison, who came back from, he played for the Brewers and the Marlins, and then I think he was at Arkansas this year. Did he play at all this year at Arkansas? Did he play at all?
Wait, say who?
Or not Marvin Harrison. Monte Harrison.
Oh, that came back from the Brewers. That was the other player. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I'd have to look that up.
I hadn't thought about that till just now, but anyway.
You said the second player did that, and that was the other one, I think. Was
yeah, because he was part of that Christian Yelich
with the Brewers and with the Marlins. Then decided, I'm done with it. I'm going to go play football, where he was recruited to play. I think Nebraska was one of his final schools to recruit him. So anyway, that'll do it for our program. Don't forget to catch Colby and Goodland tonight. Goodland on Rocket 102.5. Colby on 100.3. The Ryan, of course, any other great games going on throughout the region. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about them all and much more. And of course, K-State basketball tonight as well against Texas Tech. For Max, I'm Ross. We'll see you tomorrow.